Welcome to ACD Combatives, your combatives and control tactics channel. Please like, subscribe, and share. Hey everybody, Coach Kurt. Let's try to answer the age-old question, are pretextual stops legal? The lawyer answer is yes and no. And what does that mean? Well, it depends on your jurisdiction and so forth. The Supreme Court of the United States, I think it's Wren versus the United States, 1996 or 7. Supreme Court answered that question for us is yes, they're legal. But what state do you work in? Some states, I've worked in at least 2 states where they're not considered legal. And so let's try to define what it is so you know when you're doing it and when you're not doing it. First of all, why would pretextual stops be wrong? Well, first of all, let's explain what a pretextual stop is. A pretextual stop, in a nutshell, is you're a police officer. Your spider senses are tingling because you see an individual or a vehicle or something catches your attention, and your spider senses are tingling, and you're like, criminal alert, criminal alert. You may not even be able to put your finger on it yet, but you know that this mofo is a criminal and there's criminal activity afoot. So you stop them using a pretextual reason. Oh, your tail light is out. You didn't use your turn signal. Your license plate light is burnt out. There are a billion traffic laws you can use to pull somebody over. If you follow somebody for a block or two or for a mile or two, I guarantee you you're going to find a legal, probable cause reason to stop somebody using traffic law. That's why traffic law is so successful in doing criminal patrol, like looking for drugs and so forth. So, okay, that doesn't sound bad. Well, why would that be bad? Well, it's gotten a bad reputation of late because of the term profiling. And Webster defines profiling, the act of or process of extrapolating information about a person based on known traits or tendencies. Okay, so that is the definition. So why would that be bad? Well, because police officers can also use inappropriate reasons to profile somebody based on race, creed, color, sexual orientation, how they identify. There's like 8 of them, and you know what I'm talking about. So if you're profiling using inappropriate reasons to stop somebody, then it's a bad thing. If you're using, 25 years of law enforcement experience and you got little small voice in the back of your mind, you see somebody, you don't even know why yet. And I've done this with trainees in the cars, like that person right there, they've got warrants. Let's go deal with them. And you find a probable cause reason to stop them or contact them, and sure enough, they have warrants. And they're like, how did you know? I said, because you listen to your instincts. You will build that instinct over years of policing. It's guaranteed. And that's why in field training, we make stops for everything. If there's a legal probable cause reason to make a contact, you stop them, because I want you to build that database of what is legal and how that connects to how you feel at the time. Well, normally feelings shouldn't play in police work, but when you've been doing it long enough, you will start getting that little voice in the back of your head, or I call it the spider senses, will tingle, and trust it. And it's the same reason why if the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, you don't know what the danger is yet, but trust it. You've been policing long enough, trust your instincts. You ask any victim, man, I kind of felt like something wasn't right, and I didn't listen to that feeling. I've heard that before when interviewing victims, and that's because they didn't listen to their little voice. So let's get back on track. Profiling is wrong for the wrong reasons. Profiling is right for the right reasons. Again, I don't know how many times I've seen a certain vehicle, something about the way the person looked or didn't look at me, like, these are not the droids you seek. If I don't look at you, you won't know that I exist. They're gripping the steering wheel with white knuckles. There's just something about their behavior, something about the vehicle, or maybe I recognize the vehicle from previous law enforcement contacts, or maybe I recognize the person from previous law enforcement contacts. I remember a dude that I arrested like 8 times in a year. It's like, dude, take care of your shit. Just show up to court and stop getting warrants, and I won't have to bother you anymore. So these are the things I'm talking about. So let's get back to pretextual stops. If in your jurisdiction they're not legal, it's usually because they don't want you profiling incorrectly, or it's become an issue at the state level and the taxpayer is screamed loud enough and the politicians pass that in your state that you cannot do pretextual stops. So let's try to boil it down to a nutshell. A pretextual stop, again, would be wanting to stop an individual or a vehicle because you were fishing for possibilities of other crimes other than what you pulled them over for. You're pulling them over for, let's say, the minor traffic violation, but what you're really trying to do is fish and or hunt for other crimes. I could see why people would think that's bad, but this is how police catch people. I've stopped Joe Citizen and they're like, don't you have anything better to do? I was like, this criminals just don't turn themselves in. Hey, I'm a criminal. Take me to jail. You have to turn over rocks. You have to look for people. Now, depending on your jurisdiction, like I'm a very rural cop, I have all the time in the world sometimes to hunt for and find things. Just the other day, a vehicle didn't use their turn signal. The vehicle caught my attention, but it didn't use its turn signal. So I turned around. The vehicle saw that I turned around to follow. It was a white panel van. And then they took off like a bat out of hell and carelessly passed another vehicle in the process. Yada, yada, yada. I pursued. And when I finally caught the vehicle, they bailed out and ran into the woods, like 6 people. Well, mommy didn't raise a fool. I didn't chase 6 people into the woods. That's neither here nor there. But that's an example of, obviously, my instincts were correct. Something was going on there. But I digress. If you are using pretextual stops to hunt for crimes appropriately, it's not a bad thing. Again, unless it's not allowed in your jurisdiction. And then what does that mean after the fact? Let's say that you're a traffic cop, or maybe you're not a traffic cop. Maybe you're just a rural cop like me and you do it all. It still behooves you to stop people for traffic crimes. Now, why would you do that if you don't plan on doing anything about it? Well, first of all, I don't write a lot of tickets. I don't have... unlike some agencies, I don't have any kind of quota I have to meet. I can write or not write based on officer discretion and the law. And I love that about my agency. But it's still a public safety issue. You've got somebody who doesn't have any brake lights. They're not taking care of their crap. Pull them over and say, dude or dudette, your brake lights are out. Take care of it. I don't want to write you a ticket for this. Just take care of it. And you run their information because you've made a probable cause stop. You just, for officer safety, run their information anyway. Maybe they have warrants and you're still hunting for those warrants. Maybe they're a suspended driver. Maybe they are a sex offender and not registered. Or there's 100 reasons why you might actually still arrest or something based on your jurisdiction and other things you find. You still have a right to be, a right to see. What does that mean? If you had probable cause to stop them, you have a right to be there. You have a right to see something. You have a right to smell something. You have the right to hear something. You have a right to be there, and you see something else, like, oh, there's a human head in your backseat. Well, that's a criminal thing, I'm sure. You get the drift. So it still behooves you to investigate things. It still behooves you to use traffic law to do good police work, because you can still find things. That is not a pretextual stop. Pretextual is I stop that vehicle for the sole reason to go fishing based on a feeling. That's different. If I stopped a vehicle because they did an unsafe pass, or they didn't use their turn signal, or they didn't come to a complete stop, that's still enforcing traffic law for public safety reasons. And then during that probable cause contact, you determine that there's something else going on. Oh, this individual has a warrant. Then that's not a pretextual stop. I hope you get the difference. If you do not get the difference, please contact me directly. I hope that explains things. So where does it fall at the end of the day? I'm allowed to do pretextual stops in my jurisdiction. So I use that tool. As long as I'm not inappropriately profiling, that's completely skookum. Don't profile for the wrong reasons and you'll be fine. And don't get ticket heavy in the process. I mean, that pisses off the public too. people can understand that you're using traffic law to contact people. But when you start smashing a bunch of tickets on people for just because you can, that's not appropriate either. So that's just my soapbox 2 cents. You do what you do what your agency suggests. And remember, a lot of times tickets are based on that individual agency's quotas, or what, even if they don't have an official quota, there's an expected number. I've talked to agencies where, if they're not making at least 15, 20 tickets a day, then they're going to get a conversation from their supervisor. Why does that supervisor care? Because it came down from the chief, and that chief was told by the mayor that we're expected to have so much revenue developed from your agency, which is just an unofficial way of taxing the citizen. And don't get me started on that. Yes, I'm a bit of a libertarian. I really digress now, but I hope I explained it. The pretextual stop versus non-pretextual stop, and of course profiling being good and profiling being bad, depending on how you do it. Because everybody profiles, that's just human nature. Is why are you profiling that makes it good or bad? Everybody take care and stay safe.
This is an 81 Honda. How dare you?
Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out.